Hey, so I wanted to talk about our liquid foundation a little bit more and also offer some tips for applying it. So our liquid foundation is actually a serum and is naturally based. Now this foundation dries to a matte powder finish, so it is designed for combination to oily skin types. So if you have combination or oily skin, this foundation will work perfect for you. So it comes in a bottle and it comes with a dropper. So one of the biggest tips I can give you for the liquid foundation is to squeeze the dropper out really well and also shake it really well before each use. The mixture naturally separates, so you want to make sure that you're squeezing out the dropper and you're shaking it very well before you are using it. By the way, this is the taffeta shade. Now the next tip I want to share is always use a primer before applying any foundation, powder, or makeup. Now what the primer is going to do, the primer is going to create a barrier on your skin. So not only does it fill in your pores and the product goes on better, we all produce oils on our face and they actually will break down our makeup throughout the day. So the primer will create a barrier on your face so the oils aren't going to break your makeup down. So this is going to make your makeup last longer. And also, especially if you have oily skin, you do want the barrier. So a primer is a must. Now I apply primer about 5 minutes before putting my foundation on, just to kind of let it set a little bit. So you want to put the primer on about 5 minutes before you do the foundation. Okay, so the next thing to talk about is brushes. So especially with this foundation, since it's such a thin liquid, you need a good brush to apply it. Here are two brushes that I recommend: our liquid foundation brush and also our powder puff brush. I recommend both of these and I use both of these. It kind of depends on the coverage and what you're wanting as far as to which one I would recommend using. Now our powder puff brush is going to apply more of a medium coverage. So if you are not wanting a super full coverage on your face and you're also maybe wanting to get out the door pretty quickly and you don't have a lot of time to spend on your makeup, then I would recommend the powder puff brush. And here's how I use it. So obviously once I've squeezed out the dropper and give the foundation a good little shake there, I would take and put 5 drops on the powder puff brush, just like that. And then I would take and dot it all over my face. I'm using my arm as my face. And then go back and blend it in. So you're going to dot it over and then you're going to go back and blend it in really quickly. So that's how you're going to use the powder puff brush. Now for the liquid foundation brush, there's a couple different ways I use this. You can also take and put drops around the outside of the brush. Okay, like that. And then you can also dot it on your face and then go back and kind of blend it in. You don't want to do really harsh strokes with this brush. Okay, another thing you can do is you can take and apply drops directly to your hand, kind of like a palette, and then dip the brush in it and then go back and apply on your face like that, and then, you know, dip it back in the drops and apply on your face. Some people find that works really well with this brush to give a fuller coverage. So if you're wanting a fuller coverage, I would recommend the liquid foundation brush. I use both of them. It just kind of depends on my mood in the day, and it all depends on what you're wanting out of it. Now, if you are wanting to make sure you have really good coverage, I would recommend setting the liquid foundation with our pressed powder. Now, especially if you have oily skin, you are going to want to set it with a pressed powder to keep it more matte all day. This is our pressed powder foundation, and you can use the powder puff brush, that's what I use, or you can use the sponge with it. The sponge is going to apply the product a little more heavily. I prefer the powder puff brush, but you can take and set your liquid foundation with that. So that is some tips that I had for you with the liquid foundation. If you have any questions, you can comment below or message me.